I'm DK, and this is Austin Comedy Network. We are here today joined by Drew Santana. You guys might recognize him recently for his KillTony appearance with Joe Rogan and Post Malone. We are also joined here today with Caleb Silvers, the host of the recently popular Roppolo's Pizza Mike and Showcase. He hosts it every Tuesdays, Thursdays, and...
It's Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays.
Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. At what time?
Tuesdays and Fridays are 9 to 11, but Sundays 6:30 to 8:30.
Okay, and the illustrious Trinidad.
What up?
Trinidad is also a common presence in the comedy scene. So how's it growing, Drew? How do you feel since your KillTony appearance just recently came out?
Stressed. Just trying to just staying busy with things. Definitely kind of stressful, actually.
What do you find stressful?
I'm still only just barely finding some actual work around here. Hopefully, I'll have like an interview this Monday. I'll be doing, if I do get it, I'll be doing like carnival type stuff, like setting up, operating, and breaking down fucking like mechanical bowls and like bouncy houses and shit like that.
Okay.
Carnival worker.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's perfect. Sorry. I guess because at this point it's like I'll just take whatever I can get. I mean, I'll probably, who knows? I need to start making some money. Like little side gigs haven't like made it. I haven't been able to make it by with that. And summer fucking killed me. Like. Mm-hmm. My van is so fucking
it's still
sweaty.
Summer.
It's still like it's summer. Like it's been fucking too hot.
Mm-hmm.
My van is stinky and sweaty and fucking. I'm dying. I'm like not sleeping as much. My timer is just like 12. Mm-hmm. Like just noon. It's like I just wake up like sweaty because that's the time that the sun comes up. And so at this point, I've decided I need to like rip out the mattress, fucking dump all that shit, and like redo some storage, and fucking just slide a couch in there, maybe even like hang up a hammock on the inside of it, but like really fucking reduce it down to just something that I can kind of stretch out more in, and also so I can get like lower down. Hopefully that'll help with like the heat. And like if the couch is still kind of hot even though it's lower down, I could like lay out something on the floor or even like get a hammock so I could be like hanging on the inside. I can like anchor it from the corners.
Yeah, that's a cool little idea you got going on there. So for those of you who don't know, Drew has been staying outside of his van for a while now, for sure. Since how long have you been in your van now?
So I moved here about 4 months ago now. From Denver, and I like sold all my shit. I sold all my shit, bought a van, and like was like, I came down here to Austin specifically for like the comedy scene, chasing my dreams, running away from my problems and whatnot. Like at the time I had moved in with like my grandma and my uncle because my grandma's husband, my like I guess step grandpa or whatever, he passed away from like watching a football game in the living room. He like had a fucking heart attack one, like I was real bad.
Did his team win or lose?
It was a Broncos game. I don't know what the outcome of the game was.
That's enough.
We were concerned about
to do it.
Family member.
Yeah.
But
I'm sorry to hear that, bro.
I mean, yeah, that was just the first thing. But like, so my grandma was like kind of taking care of my uncle, and like, my uncle was kind of pretty much just stuck upstairs, almost like bedridden most of the time, especially towards like the end. And so like I moved in to like help like take care of him and stuff, and like help around with like chores and other things like that, because the basement was like the man cave, and like that was now empty, and there was only a lift for like the second like flight of stairs upstairs. So like the whole basement was like abandoned, and like they needed somebody to help out and everything. So I stayed there up until my uncle passed away, and I actually like literally had to like help like the mortician guys or whatever like carry his body down. It was a pretty like sad thing, but when that happened, it was a while after that. Like I came down here because like my grandma was just spending time with my mom, and like they went up and like vacationed up in Canada as soon as I came down here to Austin. So like as soon as like my family was all taken care of. I didn't have to worry about anything. And the only other person was like my grandpa, like my actual grandpa, but he had passed away like the Christmas before. So it was just a lot of people fucking.
Oh my God.
Just a lot of people fucking dying.
Do you feel like all that trauma has had an effect on you? I mean, I know it definitely has, but in what way do you think that's affected your life and the way you make your decisions from now on? Like, well, since then, not from now on.
I don't know. I'm usually like a pretty shy and like kind of awkward person, and most people just like write me off as weird, but like they don't know that, like, you know, they think that it's one thing when they like think you're weird, like, you know, it's another thing when they think that you're like not a good person or something, that you're like, that you wouldn't, like, they'd never expect, you know, me to be in that kind of position or something like that. And some people have been like surprised by like, oh, like you actually you're like a regular person, like, you know, because my most recognizable appearances are usually like the banana phones, like especially some of the early ones. And like there's people that like just thought that I was just like really intimidating up on stage for those, and so that like that was their perception of me entirely, you know. Like it was weird how like people would just like see one performance, like, so to speak, up on stage, and then be like, oh, that's what that person is, like, all the time. They're just like that on or off the stage, like, and that's
I definitely understand where you're coming from, as I tend to get it, you know, also revolving around my style of comedy, because I tend to do dark and edgy material. You know, people tend to think that sometimes some of my material might reflect how I act in real life, you know, and that just tends to not be the case. We all have our different ways we express this art form about and go about making people laugh, and how we enjoy and choose to, you know, share our love of comedy. One of the things that I find really interesting about you, Drew, is that over the last few weeks, I've seen you develop a lot as a comedian. And this is something that I've mentioned to you several times. You've gotten, I mean, I've seen your growth since you've been here. And you're one of the few, I mean, so many comedians grow during their time out here. But when you're one of the people I can say that I've seen a true growth in the way you perform and write your jokes. I'll oftentimes catch you at like the back of the creek of the cave in the middle of the night, trying to sneak away. I mean, even when we're all in a circle, just like checking your joke book, crossing things out, rewriting things. And I mean, it shows true dedication to the art form. You dropped everything to come move here. Like so many other people, you came here to chase your dream. Do you feel like being in Austin has had a significant impact on the way that you A, perform, and B, like choose to execute comedy, in terms of like how much time you take out of your day to go perform, write jokes, work on your delivery? You know, do you feel like that's definitely improved since you got out here? Well, you started out here actually, didn't you?
yeah.
Okay. So do you feel like you've grown in the time that you've been here?
I mean, I don't, I had really bad stage fright initially. Like my first time on stage was like the first night I got here, and it was at like the Lucky Duck, and I almost like chickened out. That was from there. I just like kept doing it, and the whole idea was like more like mics than like days that I've been here. And from about like 2.5 weeks on, I started like recording them and like putting them all up.
That's another thing that's really interesting about how
But
much
yeah,
he's documented that. He's really consistent. It's great stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you gotten a chance to check out some of his videos on Instagram, Trinidad?
Yeah, he's. I mean, he regularly posts them, and and when I catch the show there and everything, I admire how disciplined he is about making the time, setting it up, and going through it, because it's like it's work, and that's another time where I've seen the whole process of Drew come together, and it's interesting.
Yeah, you got any comments on that, Caleb?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Cool.
I'm good on that too.
But Yeah, I mean, I truly admire you, Drew. You put in tons of time and dedication to your art form. Now, you said you started stand up when you got here in Austin. So about how long do you think you've been doing stand up?
Since I got to Austin, you know.
But when is that exactly? I know I've known you
About
since that
four.
time.
It's been like about 4 months, I think. It's always fun to double check. I got here. It's been 118 days.
Okay. Okay.
I got here on.
So a little over a quarter of a year.
I got
Almost
here
a quarter.
on May 9th. Yeah, that was my first day here.
And what is how has your image of comedy changed since wanting to do it versus actually going out there and having to get on stage every night, go out to open night mics, write, and constantly grind? You know what? How is it compared to what you had in your head versus what reality is presented to you? You know, in terms of comedy.
It's changed over time, it seems, but like, there are certain things that, certain ways I like to write, like usually from like just like hanging out with like other comics and like just like shooting the shit with them, and kind of riffing a little bit. Sometimes you can come up with fun stuff, like just actually having a good friend where you can directly like share premises and kind of start fucking riffing them out. And like I haven't been like sleeping right. That's my main concern, but normally I'd be like up real late, and when I'm real like tired, like before I go to sleep, like that's when I'd get like some good ideas that would just kind of pop into my head. But that was something I did when I first came out here. Like now, like the weather's kind of like beat me down, and so it's changed things up a bit. But like vibes, man, you got to catch the right vibe and like some kind of stimulation from like even like watching old movies or something, or like just talking with people. You can kind of just start figuring weird stuff out. And like when I first got here, I just kept like trying new stuff and going up with new stuff, and more towards now I started to kind of shift gears and like go back and like pick out what were like the best ones, that I thought like were at least did the best, and retrying them and putting different like sets of them together. And now it's to the point where like I haven't been writing like nearly as much. I've been just like trying to put together like some of the best stuff that I've written so far, and making that into like 5 minutes.
Your type 5.
Drew, can I bring this up? Did we you did mention that it was the Joe Rogan Post Malone
Yeah.
episode, 2 million views.
Almost. Yes, it is. Almost.
Holy shit, that is huge, Drew. Weren't you the last comment called? I mean, that's amazing. I have to ask you, what did Post Malone say when you were walking off stage?
I'll never tell.
Are you fucking kidding me?
The Kurt Metzger was there too, and I had such bad tunnel vision I didn't even notice him. At no point did I make eye contact with him, so I did just completely tunnel visioned him out of my memory until like just before the episode came out. It was I believe Boone Blocker, who was like like Kurt Metzger was there too, right? And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, Kurt Metzger was totally there too. And I was like, wow, but I didn't. How did I miss that? And then it's like, yeah, it was right there. Just
you were clearly
he was on the far end, in between.
Nervous.
Did it feel like a dream as you were coming back out of the off stage and you realized who you were? Did you know who you were going to be performing in front of? Before you went out there, because sometimes in the alley we'll hear who the guest might be on, who the guest is on KillTony, and then when you go up, did you know before you went out?
Yeah, there was like whispers, because when like people get like the first couple of people that get pulled, like they'll get swarmed by everyone, and they'll ask like how it went, like who was there, and somebody really early on was like, yeah, it's like Joe Rogan and Post Malone, and but they didn't say Kurt Metzger. It's just Joe Rogan and Post Malone. And so when like towards the end of the night, I didn't even think I was gonna get pulled. I like snuck out to get like a couple slices of pizza because I was like, I'm hungry. It was getting down to the wire. I was actually yeah, it was a very wild, very surreal experience.
Was your heart beating out of your chest right before you got on stage?
It was definitely pretty wild. I was actually, I had been microdosing shrooms for a while, and like that day particularly, it was a bit more than like just a little bit more than like maybe like a double microdose or something. Like, but it was,
Enough to feel it a little bit.
enough to feel it a little bit, and that, kind of led into it. And I was just kind of starting to digest everything, and I went and got like pizza to really like kind of settle everything in my stomach. It was almost towards the end of the night. I think it was like 9:40 or 9:50, and then as soon as I finished the pizza, I heard like Drew, and they're like Drew, and I like looked, and they were like, it's you, and it was Avery Avery Hutto that like was like, oh, it's you, and I was like, what the fuck, like, and they didn't, cause they weren't saying Drew Santana, they were just saying Drew, like Drew, and so fucking, I got up and like ran there, and I had like put together like just a small little like card, because I was, that's the one thing that I still struggle with is like trying to like completely just go up there without like a journal and like either riff or like remember an entire, like for me it's like it's not like remembering the jokes, it's remembering like the order of them that's kind of like problematic.
Yeah.
And so like it's just but I was like, oh, if I could bring up like a note card like William Montgomery did, you know, like he does, and because in a way I was like, oh, this is I like to think that William Montgomery is my spirit animal in a way, actually, but that's just from like watching the show for like a while before coming here, but that was like my biggest hang up. I was super anxious, and it's like, are they just gonna immediately pick me apart for that? And that was like the one thing that like they didn't seem to like acknowledge really, that I like came up with like that little like note and like kind of went off of what was in there. And it
Can I ask like what's been 2 million people saw that fucking video, Drew. What's been people's reaction in public? Did people talk to you about it? Did they say, hey, you're that guy from KillTony? Like, Post Malone, Joe Rogan, 2 million views, Comedy Town. What's your reaction like?
Have you gotten any of that?
Yeah. Fan mail?
I just hang around stinky comics like Caleb.
Yeah. Well,
so they don't really say anything to me about it.
Well, I think everybody's giving you props. I mean, you got a big joke book at the end of that episode.
Did
too.
you see it though?
No, I haven't. I still haven't seen it yet.
We should pull it up. Can we pull that up?
I can pull it out.
No, can we pull the video up?
No, we can't. I mean, we can't pull it up right now.
Okay.
We're not fully set up to do that yet.
It is now shaped like my left ass cheek.
Yeah, he
It
didn't.
Also, how would that
It is
work
a
with
part
like
of me.
showing a YouTube video on YouTube?
It's fine because we're doing a podcast episode. You just turned that sensitivity up way too.
Why
much.
did you? That's way too loud.
Oh my god.
Oh no.
It was perfect.
This feels like
before.
Howard Stern a
That's
little
fine,
bit,
yeah.
like especially right.
Does this work? Yeah.
Little
I think
Howard
this is
Stern.
alright.
Is it mine? Hello? Something?
Yeah, we're gonna end up cutting this part out.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Whoops.
Well.
No, it's all good.
Yeah, so that way
That's
we...
what editing is for.
And so we can actually ask
Now,
this.
That's what
Dude, now I'm way too low. It was perfect before you start touching it.
Me?
No, it was. Now my mic is super low.
Oh.
Nice headshot. Okay. We're back from that quick break. Yeah. I forget where we left off, but let's pick up on.
That's my ass. This guy took it way too much.
Actually keep all of
Took
this.
that way too much.
But let's continue on. Okay, Drew. Since you've got into Austin, how do you feel about the comedy scene so far? Do you feel like what is your opinion of the community and the scene here?
I mean, I feel like I got maybe a little bit lucky with like, you know, just meeting a lot of like really nice people. For the most part, I think it's been pretty good. I think there's been like a couple of situations, you know, where I feel like I've run into people that may not be the most genuine or whatnot, or, you know, maybe just a sensitivity on both sides or something like that is, you know, I don't know how to put it, but most people are nice. Some people are really nice and are really good friends, and some people are not so nice and they're not great friends. It's all about vibes, you know. I'm good with faces, not so much with names, but I'm really good with like, you know, like how somebody made me like feel, you know. If I look at somebody, I can remember the emotional history of, you know, like our interactions, you know.
Sure.
So,
I mean, you can only, you know, kind of be a dick to so many people for so long before it kind of catches back up to you. You know, I think
That's
most
true,
people, like,
This is a
more or less are capable of remembering how somebody made them feel.
I know. 'Cause that's what
like a dog?
Yeah.
That's like some shit somebody's told me once about a dog before. Like they'll remember how you made them feel. That's
What
how
about
they
that
remember.
guy's dog last night? Some dogs are fucking annoying as shit.
That's scandalous.
It didn't stop.
Michael had a great
forever.
dog.
That dog did not stop. By the end of the night, he's like, God damn.
Yeah.
We were both going nuts.
But
It was on a lot of medication and stuff. Poor thing.
yeah,
It
yeah,
just got fixed and stuff.
yeah. We did have an interesting night last night.
Water biting.
But Drew, another thing is,
Sorry. I don't know.
you know, walk me through a little bit of your writing process, because every person who does comedy, like, since it is an art form, there's not a set way to go about things. And I always find it interesting to talk to people and ask them, how do you go about your process?
A great example would be like Poke the Bear, which I'm actually concerned about. It's hosted at Roscoe's Comedy Club by Ty Wen.
Shout out Ty, great comedian.
You know, the format is it's my favorite. A comic will go up, they'll do their set, and then you'll have like teams of comics writing
a roast for
you know, like or whatever, you know, like something funny. It's usually roasts in some manner. Those are some of the strongest ones. More or less, it always boils down to some kind of funny against the person, I guess, or whatever their set was about. But going off of I'm really dragging on with
What time does that start?
Intrusive thoughts. The first thing that comes into your head that you think like, oh, you shouldn't say that. Like, you write that down, and that, like, it works so much. It's like my favorite. It's my favorite thing to do. And I think more people need to come to it. More people need to participate.
What is it?
Poke the Bear.
It's Tuesdays
At Roscoe's.
at 8
p.m.
at 8 p.m. at Roscoe's
Okay.
Comedy Club. It's hosted by Ty Wen.
Poke the Bear, yeah. All I've heard is great things about it. I'm immobile, so unless I'm hiking my ass up there, it ain't happening. And that's a pretty long walk, so.
Yeah, it's not a super long walk from downtown. I
It's
mean,
long enough for me not to check it out.
Take you when I head that way.
If I can get a scooter one day, I got this.
You got your vape.
yes, I do.
It's on the floor over there.
Got you. There you go.
But Drew, yeah, you can ride with me on the way there. When we leave, right?
Oh, actually, like.
Are you gonna make it?
Yeah, I'll make it, but it's Roscoe's. But this is going to be a different one. It's going to be, it's at 10:30 tonight.
Okay.
And it's at Roscoe's, and
Okay.
it's going to be like booked like big comics that are going to be going up, and it's gonna, I believe, be more of just like a crowd of normal people.
Is that the dress to impress? Is that today?
No, it's Poke the Bear.
Poke the Bear. Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. And there, but it's the way it's different tonight is it's a different day of the week, different time, and it's like big like booked comics that are going up, that are doing their set, and that are gonna have to read stuff written by hopefully a crowd of regular people. And there's going to be at least, a decent handful of comics kind of shuffled in there to like just participate as well, and
Nice.
I gotta go in there and do that.
Are you dropping in? Are you gonna dock any of that?
I might. To be honest, I was looking at this blood. I wasn't even paying attention to what you guys were saying.
The
Right now.
Roscoe's.
Yeah, it's a little hard to pull. That's what I was thinking. As
Yeah,
my
that's what I
home.
was thinking right now. That's why I was looking
Yeah,
down
it's
at
not,
it.
it's not pulling. That's all I was thinking about too.
It had a little
something about Roscoe's, but yeah.
in the middle.
So you guys can all kind of tune in. Chime in on this. How do you feel about like the locality of the comedy clubs in Austin? Do you feel like this is a great scene in terms of like mobility through the scene? Like,
Yes.
isn't that one of the greatest perks about it? How do you guys feel about that?
I mean, you kind of need something. Like if you had your own like little, like one wheel or like scooter or like something like that's better than like the Lime scooters. But I think those are pretty cheap sometimes. Like you need something to move around with. It's not a car, and you also need like parking. That's a pain in the ass usually. So like, you don't wanna get a ticket, and you don't wanna get towed.
You have a longboard, right?
Yeah, I'd go around with my longboard. I'd park somewhere and like pay for parking, but I'd get like a monthly parking thing at a nice place that has security, so I don't have to worry about anything. And then I'd longboard down to all the different clubs. And just recently I got like a spot that's like closer, so I can kind of like walk here a lot easier without taking my board. So I leave it in my van sometimes, depending on what I'm doing.
Okay,
Nice.
and is it pretty convenient from parking to walking around to the different mics and clubs, or is it a bit difficult?
I mean, it's pretty stinky sometimes. A lot of times, there can be a decent number of like hobos kind of coming at you from different angles, trying to ask you for stuff. Aside from that, it's all right. I mean, the weirdest thing was like earlier today, just in broad daylight, there's that same like the infamous now naked homeless lady, that like has a diaper and just like the whole shebang.
She's well known around
She was
here.
laying in the like sun on the just on the concrete, and just like no shirt, nothing, just tits out for the world to see. And there was clearly like a mom and dad with like a couple of like little kids that were like they looked like tourists or whatever, and they were like walking like right, not like over her, but like just right off it. And I could tell they were trying to like pretend like, oh come on, look over here, kids. Like, oh look at
Yeah, you see a lot of
There
crazy
was,
stuff like that on 6. But the crazy thing is, I mean, it is completely legal to be topless in Austin, I believe, right?
Yeah.
It's legal to be topless in Austin. So yeah, she walks around downtown with a diaper, a bald head, and her nipples for the world to see. It is definitely a sight to behold.
Yeah. She wears them on her head too. Diapers on her head.
She does sometimes.
Yeah.
That's when she's feeling like in a good mood, like when when she's really like
I'm dressing
going out.
yeah,
She's
like when
dressing
she's
out.
about to
Yeah.
go out tonight, like she's
I'm
really
dressing up.
when she's really walking up and down 6, like she puts the diaper over her head.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes she'll put a little shirt on.
Yeah.
That's if she's really feeling
Some
it.
of
The
the whole
diapers
thing
will
with the
stay
bra, too.
visible. The diaper will
Yeah,
stay
yeah.
visible, but she'll put a little shirt on. You know, go
bra
out there,
set.
do her little dance. You
Yeah.
know, make a little money. Yeah, you know, the homeless people out here are hustlers. They be doing their shit.
Well. Like, fucking shit. It's pretty fucking wild out there, bro. It's pretty fucking
I could,
wild.
It is. There's another homeless lady
I
that
could use
looks
some
just like.
water.
Yeah.
Can we get in some water, Anton?
It's real
Yeah, there's another homeless
dry.
lady out there who looks like Caesar from Planet of the Apes. You know who I'm talking about? She's a buff ass black lady. Oh, that audio is.
I can't say that.
Yeah, there's a lady who looks like Caesar from Planet of the Apes. She's buff as fuck. And bald headed. But she has like very nice eyes. She has very like harmless eyes, I guess you could say. But yeah.
Yeah, the homeless situation is very interesting.
And the homeless situation as well.
A lot of it's the crackhead situation.
I find
No.
well, I mean, what's
'Cause
interesting
a lot of comedians are homeless, but there are a lot of crazy ass fucking crackheads around here too, and everybody always equates the homeless people with the crackheads, but
well, there is.
there is a difference.
I guess there is crackheads that they can own a home. There's like a professor
Well,
there's like I guess there is that side. Yeah.
a lot of the times when you see these people sprawled out, I mean, I've done it once or twice, just being wasted, you know. I have like fallen out. But
what's the craziest wasted story you have, Caleb?
in Austin.
You have to think back.
Yeah,
He said I
let
got
me
so
think
many.
about this.
I got so many.
Crazy.
Can I get that big?
I don't even know if I can talk about it, to be honest
It's
with
on
you.
the floor.
Legally. Yeah, let's change the subject. How's the insurance on that van, Drew?
It's very affordable.
Yeah, I bet.
But
Hammocks are a great idea for your van. That's a great idea. They're very comfortable.
so let's continue. Drew. So do you have any? You know, you're on your fourth month of comedy. The beginning is always the hardest. It always is the one that's gonna make or break people. That first few months of comedy. Oftentimes, people will start out for a few weeks or a few days or a few months, then jump back out and jump back in. But do you have any advice for people who are also trying to start comedy? You know, want to do their first stand-up routine?
Just keep doing it. Just keep writing and keep, trying it. Don't give up. Just the basic stuff,
Uh-huh.
I mean,
How was your first night on stage? Tell me about that.
it was at the Lucky Duck, and again, bad tunnel vision. I believe that it was hosted by Alden Schaub. Yes, the Mob Schaub. And almost chickened out, but I came through, and it's pretty interesting, I guess. Like,
Did you get any pops?
It definitely wasn't like completely silent, but like I don't know, like I don't have the best memory of when I'm like super anxious of things, like with like, sometimes I get like real bad tunnel vision and real bad, just like
Was-
drawing blanks even right now. It's
Was there a moment after you did your
there's a lot
first
of
set?
weed going around too.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. That's the point of the show. Now, when you did your first set, and you got off stage and you went home and you had time to think about it in retrospect, was there a moment that you thought for a second that this might have been a mistake? You dropping everything in Denver and moving to Austin to pursue your dream of comedy?
Of course, I mean, yeah, like I had, of course, like I had doubts. You know, I'm an anxious person, so like very critical of myself. Um, Definitely was just like a couple of times, like, was this really the right idea? Was this really? But I think it's definitely been worth it.
So that's your take in retrospect now that you think it's been worth it these last 3 months.
Yeah, like coming out here in the first place, like it's all been worth it.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Like I said, you're one of the people who I've seen make the biggest improvement since I've been here. You just got a big book on KillTony. You got to perform in front of Rogan, Post Malone, Tony Hinchcliffe, and Kurt Metzger. You know, um, you still continue to get out there every night, and you're only on month 4. You're only on month 4, dude. They used to say, I don't know if you've ever heard this before, but they say like 10,000 hours, or, you know, they say 10 years to become a good comic. You know, that's one of those things that you hear go around. And I mean, you're trailblazing right now. You're making so much progress. You're out there every
I
night.
feel like you've done 10,000 hours, Drew. To be honest with you, you have. Don't you have that on your Instagram by now? That's so. You've done so many sets
Yeah, and it's showing.
constantly.
It's showing for
You are
sure.
just
I mean, to be such a
so
to
many
be such a
sets.
young comic and to be already already getting acknowledgement. I mean, you're 4 months in. That, I think that shows that you're on your way to a very bright future. Do you feel, especially since your episode, do you feel optimistic about your future in comedy? Like, do you feel, what is your goal? Where do you want to go?
I mean, I'm just chasing the dream, man. It's just, it's real, it's almost therapeutic going up there, and whether or not I get laughs, you know, it's just, it feels like very relieving, you know, and getting back to like trying new stuff and like writing as much as possible. Like I really want to get back into that, like really aggressively, you know. I think that getting, you know, not shying away from like what I was doing in the first place is like really, really, it seems like it feels the best at least.
Great, great. Now, you did move from another big comedy scene, Denver. Are there times you miss home or consider going back and maybe doing comedy in Denver, or as Austin? I mean, because Denver's also a great comedy city.
Yeah.
Or is Austin it just seems like the place for you at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, if I go back and visit family, I'll definitely like do some mics out there. So who knows? Maybe down the road, I'll have a reason to go back there. Hopefully, I'm fucking aggressively dead broke, and I need to get work. You know, very, very immediately. But after that, you know, I start making some money. Who knows, man?
You're right. Who knows? Who knows what the future has in store? But it does seem very bright for you at the moment. So what's it? What are the things that interest you? Do you have anything in particular that interests you? Like, but outside of comedy.
I've had a lot of different like hobbies and interests over the years. Definitely, I enjoy like listening to a lot of different kinds of music, especially like older kind of stuff, or like kind of more obscure things, as opposed to like, you know, like bigger like hits and stuff, like stuff that you'd hear a lot on the radio. Like, 'cause growing up, like I'd listen to like the radio all the time, and just changing up the format from that is usually good, because it's just a great way to catch like a good vibe just driving around with like the right kind of music or something.
Give me an example of that. Like, what type of? You got any good examples? Anything that you really favor?
They're kind of Japanese inspired, like kind of pop stuff, or like
anime music.
Oh yeah, I've heard maybe not. Like, okay, maybe a little bit.
You be in your listening in your van listening to the Naruto soundtrack.
It's not that egregious.
Yeah.
But you know what? Maybe I'll look it up. I'll be like, let's see if they got any fucking bangers in here.
Yeah, my one of my little brothers is super into that stuff. But you got anything else? Like, you into any sports, science, history, any type of fandoms? Game of Thrones, Marvel, DC.
I'm starting to draw blanks, man.
Conspiracies?
Chicks with dicks. Is that a fan of chicks with dicks?
Yeah. That's a genuine interest, though, right?
There's something there. I don't know. Christ.
That's okay. We got pretty high up here today.
Yeah, we did.
That's right. That's right.
It's going right.
Also, it's a
through
very
me.
confusing subject.
What's confusing about it?
I mean, what do you mean by that? Chicks with dicks.
What do you not get? The chicks or the dicks?
Is it a chick with a dick, or is it a guy that has boobs?
What are you talking about? It's chicks with dicks, bro.
It's whatever you want it to be.
Females.
Chicks with it's chicks with dicks.
Yeah.
All right. What do you got against that? What do you got?
It's just a complicated subject.
That is chicks with dicks is
Simple.
That's as American as apple
I'm
pie.
drawing blanks.
It is a staple.
I've never heard someone say chicks with dicks is a complicated phrase. But
It's a
also, I haven't
complicated
heard chicks
subject.
with dicks for a long time.
Chicks with dicks.
But so have you heard recently that this United States Air Force pilot made a UFO disclosure in Congress? You heard about the UFOs? Okay. Have you heard anything about the recent UFO disclosures? Have any opinions about
I see
aliens?
UFOs all the time.
Really?
Unexpectedly fast orgasms. I fucking.
But yeah. How do you feel about those though? You know, do you have any opinions on aliens? Do you believe they exist?
Bro, the only fucking aliens I've seen are like the fucking drones that fly overhead around downtown. If you've never noticed them,
Absolutely. I've seen a lot of drones around here.
they fly around.
Maybe.
You know.
I think.
all
Maybe
over
I
the
haven't
city.
done enough drugs yet. I've never seen any drones flying around downtown.
Yeah, they have like.
It could be like
fucking-
some tower or something, but
They've got
it
like
looks
fucking.
a drone.
They've got like homo cops driving around these fucking like self-driving Priuses. It's.
Yeah, did you say homo cops?
Yeah.
Robocars.
And then they got these fucking like security drones that fly around too. If you like see them, like they're you'll see them at night sometimes or during the day. But they'll fucking, I swear to God, they're like flying around and like surveying shit and like going back down. They're like legit. You know, this is
I've never seen one of those before.
this whole fucking city is like fucking wired up, my dude.
Yeah. It'll sound like a hummingbird fly past your head, and it's a fucking drone, dude. It happens all the time.
Yeah. I just I've never done cocaine, so you know I can't relate to what you guys are saying right now.
What are you fucking?
There's drones, dog.
I'm just fucking around.
What you talking about with this?
I'm just fucking around though. But Trinidad, do you have any opinions on UFOs, Caleb?
They're probably out there, but if our government or any government is saying it, I don't believe it. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I get it. You think it's like a false flag or something like that.
I think
It's meant to distract us. That's what
yeah,
sounds like you're saying.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's bullshit.
When did this
And
look,
it's
what do y'all
gonna
think about
be a way to
Bigfoot?
control the
As a
Bigfoot's
I don't think
here and you
Bigfoot's
came
real.
down on a fucking drone.
Cut to Caleb.
from-
We have found Bigfoot.
But Trinidad, you got any opinions on UFOs, man?
As a certified ufologist, I actually think
Certified one? Holy
Sounds
shit.
like a urologist.
I took a course online.
Doctor.
No, I think it's interesting. I think whether it's humans or time traveling or whatever it
Or
is,
Bigfoot. Cut back to Caleb.
or
Time travel sense to a little bit, yeah.
or the new
Something.
like some industry. I think that it's good. Like it like stirs up stuff, and then like we have the mothership across the street. That the whole idea is that UFOs and stuff, and that's kind of how like Austin feels, like with all these people from different places,
I forgot about that part. Yeah.
landing and being.
So you believe in the UFOs? I think is what you're basically saying.
Yeah, but I don't know if
if
they're
I don't
necessarily.
know if I'd say I believe in UFOs, but if like some like Men in Black showed up and they were like, you need to fucking clap some alien cheeks for like the sake of our national security, I'd be their patriot.
Yeah, that's so funny that you say that, because me and David Jolly were just literally talking about that earlier. You're talking about if UFOs were real and you'd be fucking aliens, yeah.
Well, like,
Yeah.
one time a tranny tried to tell me I was actually pansexual and not bisexual. I fucking slapped them off my fucking dick. But like, fuck, it's an old bit.
Yeah.
Like, they what are they gonna call me when I clap some alien cheeks, bro? A patriot.
Yeah.
A patriot.
Yeah. But
What?
yeah, that's very interesting. Everybody goes to just fucking the aliens. I guess that's why they wouldn't.
Yeah.
I guess that's why they don't want to meet us. We'd probably just start having sex with them.
Either they're gonna want to either they're trying to fuck us or we're gonna try to fuck them.
No.
You know, like this is gonna be one or the other, man.
Yeah, I prefer we do the fucking, just personally.
This man's playing this right now.
Yeah, just personally. If I had to choose, I'd prefer to be the one penetrating the other species rather than being penetrated by another species.
I'm trying to get probed. Is that
Well,
what
not
they call
either,
it?
but I'd
Probation?
prefer one over the other for sure.
Yeah.
So,
You just
what do you guys think about spirituality? Y'all believe in God?
Fellas? Trinidad, you seem the most
Yeah,
spiritual.
everybody
Go
just
ahead.
got all quiet.
The most spiritual. Go ahead.
You seem like the most.
Yeah, I think it's all spiritual.
put it in an alien pooper from Jupiter.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You said what?
I think it's all spiritual. I think every time we go through,
Is that not bars? Put it in the alien pooper from Jupiter.
That'll do.
yeah.
Yeah, but what do you?
Yeah, no, I feel like it's all like even when you get like injuries in your body, like the manifestations of where we're at, like in this journey, and I think it's like really all just a dream, and it's nice to see a flower, and yeah, I don't know how to call it, but spiritual seems like the best way to describe it. Like, so what do I feel about it? Like I feel it's all pretty fucking amazing.
Okay. So do you believe in God? Like, or are you just like?
Not as in the God, but I understand the energy, that essence, that tries to be described as God. But yeah.
Okay. So you feel more of like a broad spirituality.
Yeah.
Okay. Like very similar to like Buddhism.
I mean, it's more. It's. I'm. It. Like Alan Watts says, like it's not. Like religion is a finger pointing at the moon, but it's not the moon.
Yeah.
Like Buddhism would be like talking about the finger, and in spirituality, I'm talking about like the moon, and like something that I can't explain. I've never been to.
Okay.
So broad in that sense. So not so
I
much.
can explain it. It's made of cheese.
Like that.
Yeah.
That. Zen is very comedic in its element of spirituality.
Uh-huh.
Like they bounce you from the spiritual element to the worldly element, and then
Uh-huh.
back and forth. So when you're like,
What
saying
about you,
something-
Drew? Do you believe in God?
I think that coincidences are for the young and naive. I think that there's more to this world than just coincidences. I think that things happen for a reason, and that can go as deep as you want it to. And I don't really have a proper name for it, but it's like, you know, there's a whole interconnection to, like, everything is like interconnected in some way, and I think that like shit sorts itself out in one way or another. We're all like tied to something collectively, you know, like the idea of like the collective conscious or the collective subconscious or
Got you. And what about you, Caleb?
Oh, what?
Do you do you believe in God? Are you spiritual?
No, not really.
Not really.
No.
And what I mean, you don't have to explain if you don't want to, but do you have a reason for that?
Um,
Not saying you're right or wrong, but I'm just saying like
I don't know. I had this fucking, I had this whole like hallucinogenic trip or something. That we were all just like energies floating around in the universe that needed like a place to go, you know.
uh-huh.
And there was like 10 billion of us. I figured this out through like Joe Rogan podcast. How stupid is that? That like 10 billion would be like the part where the population balances out, like life and death or whatever.
Uh-huh.
It would like basically balance out at 10 billion people on Earth. I think fucking that astrologist guy said that or some shit. And I was like, what if we were all just energies bouncing around and we were just like little capsules for the energy to fucking be in?
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Just like
Does anybody
treat
know?
people like it could be you.
I mean, it seems like most people seem to find it hard to explain their own perspective of the world and the way the universe works, even if they have like a real common belief like Christianity. You know, if you ask them to get into it, people tend to like fumble words and go like,
Yeah, it's
you know, it's
crazy.
just, you
Yeah.
know, it's hard to figure out.
It's
you know?
impossible to like.
Spirituality is a journey, just like knowledge and just like your physical well-being. They are all very long journeys that take a lifetime of experience and undergoing trials to kind of figure out. And they're one of those things that you just never get wrong. Work out as much as you want. One day you'll get old. Think as much as you like. One day your
Think as much
faculties
as
will
you'd
decline.
like.
Yeah, the
And then one day you'll
think or
die,
learn.
and then
Think
you'll be- yeah.
think or learn as deep or as much as you'd like. One day your faculties will decline. Be as spiritual as you want. One day you will die. You know, so
Huh.
it's just it's part of the journeys of life. You know,
What is your spirituality like?
like what am I spiritually?
Yeah, I mean, you answer the same question for yourself. You guys had a. That's why he really liked you, right?
Uh-huh.
What was that thing you guys were talking about?
Oh, I was just going into we had a conversation about we were having a conversation about aliens and like the history of the Bible, and I was just getting into the fact that I've read a bunch of the ancient Sumerian texts, and I find it funny how, I mean, those are the oldest stories that we have so far, like the Enuma Elish, the Atrahasis, the Epic of Gilgamesh, stories like that. And all those are from like the most ancient civilization that we know of, Mesopotamia, and the civilizations that are within and surrounding that area, like Babylon, which is in the Bible, Acadia, Assyria, the Sumeria, you know. And I find it funny how so many of the stories which were written thousands of years before the Bible are so very similar. But in those tablets, they kind of describe like a alien species almost coming and tinkering with us, which I find very interesting because we don't exactly know where humans come from. Like, of course, there's the proposed evolution of the theory of evolution, which Darwin proposed, but the truth is that we've never actually been able to conclusively prove that macroevolution exists. Like, we don't have fossils of things really in transition. Like, there's not really many many like fossils of transitions between apes and people, and that transition isn't really still going on today. We've never really observed it. Darwin proved microevolution for sure, which is that things make small changes within their DNA to adapt to their environment, but we've never proved that for sure that velociraptors turn into birds. We have a theory about it. We think that's what happens. We think we came from apes. The oldest skull we have of a human, I think, is believed. Her name is Lucy, and that's like a humanoid like ape. But I mean, I haven't done a whole lot of research on it, but there's a lot of holes in history that don't quite make sense. Like, for instance, the pyramids of Egypt. Some things just don't quite add up. Like the fact that the pyramids were like the tallest buildings ever built until like the 1900s, like well past the Industrial Revolution. The fact that they say people built them and that it was carried by slaves, but the rocks and the quarries that those things come from are like hundreds, if not thousands of miles away. And this is not like something that's uncommon around the world. Like, the same thing happened in South Africa with the Aztecs. The same thing happened with, several sites in Asia and the Middle East, in those sites like Samaria.
The Göbekli Tepe.
Yeah, like Göbekli Tepe near Turkey and stuff, where we found like these monolith-like structures. Well, we're not quite sure how they built a lot of these things or why. Like, why are some of these regions buried? And why is the story of the Great Flood so common, like within most major religions around the world? And this isn't just true of the Abrahamic religions. These are stories told in the tribes of Africa, in the Native American tribes of the North and the South. In a lot of the Eastern religions, you still find these stories of the flood, or these beings or angels, or however you want to perceive them, that come down and interact with people. I don't necessarily know if I don't necessarily believe in God in the traditional sense, and that's probably just because I did too much reading, and I like to think a lot. And there's just a lot of things that, though I grew up very conservative Christian as a Jehovah's Witness, I did a lot of reading the Bible and looking into Christianity and the history of all religions, and I found that, while there are a lot of things that line up, like, people should strive to be good, people should strive to look out for each other, for their community. There's a lot of values that are consistent, and a lot of wrong things are consistent, but at the same time, it's like it's like we don't. It looks like Drew actually has to go, so
Yes.
We're gonna go ahead and call this short. I appreciate you guys coming in. We're gonna go ahead and edit. Hold on, don't take your headphones off yet. Let's do a little outro so we can edit, because we might actually just cut that segment out so that we can make the video a little bit more cohesive, so we don't have one on. But
So cock and ball torture. Cock and ball.
Drew has to go.
Cock and ball.
Hey, am I gonna give you a ride, Drew?
Cock and ball.
Then, and why are you? Is it? We're still in time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to.
So real quick,
What time do we start?
Drew's gonna have to go. So I appreciate you coming out and talking to me today, Drew. Trinidad, Caleb, I appreciate you guys sitting in on
Thank you
my
so
conversation with Drew. You guys are all welcome back anytime.
That was
Sorry I had to cut it a little bit short, but part of comedy, you got to get out there and get on stage. You guys have a great day, and thanks for stopping by.
Bye.